There is someone who is very pleasing on the eye for me. How do I get his number? He drives by in his van daily. You will find the following message disturbing, so viewer discretion is advised. You have been warned, bruv. This message was initially sent to my wife, and then the sister, because my wife didn't respond to her quick enough, forwarded the messages that she sent to my wife to my Instagram account. Please keep me anonymous. He is 37 now. She's talking with regards to her husband. Nearing 40 soon. And I've been under a lot of emotional blackmail from my parents since I've told them numerous times it won't work. What is she referring to? She's referring to her marriage. My mum knows for a long time there is a sex problem. She just keeps brushing it under the carpet, as oftentimes ethnic families do, and the sister is ethnic, I won't mention which community, saying, we'll get him checked. It's affecting me mentally now. And by the way, when you guys DM me, please, for flip's sakes, can you just paragraph the thing? It's not hard. Put it into paragraphs, full stops, you just vomit your crap all out. You know, that's one thing I hate. When you vomit your into my DM, I hate that crap. It's only because this one caught my eye that I'm actually bothering to respond to it, and in fact there is an important issue, but I ignore most messages like this because it hurts my brain. She just keeps brushing it under the carpet, saying we'll get him checked. It's affecting me mentally now. He likes to please me by licking my cherry instead, which is good, but damn, I'm in my sexual peak, in my early 30s now, and need a good hard pounding. I can't just rely on a tongue. I did not agree to this marriage. I said to the marriage and said yes to please some family members. So it sounds like it was an arranged marriage. Sister, you need to take responsibility here, by the way. Okay, you did it to please them, but you did also agree to it by the sounds of it. It's not like you were forced into it. Although we can't entirely rule that out, to be fair. A lot has happened. I'm worried about the legal side. The house is half owned now. Look, first of all, if a man has a sex problem whereby he can't get his member up, he can't hold it. Let me tell you something. Let me share something with you right now. Me, Mahdi Tijani, I have suffered from erectile function before in my life. And I did this because I've experienced it twice. One time when I was on DECA, it's about 5-6 years ago. And the other time, it's kind of a long story, but I ended up going through a process of elimination. And I realized it was the creatine that I was taking. Now, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole. Creatine doesn't cause ED and so on and so forth. It turned out for me, it was the cause of my problem. And the moment I eliminated it from my diet, because I wasn't on any gear, any steroids, and nothing, completely natural, blood work was good. I was healthy, progressing in my training. And yet, for some reason, my member performance was hindered. Why? Ended up being the creatine, got rid of it. Literally 1 week later, I was fine. Erectile dysfunction, especially if you are in a marriage or a committed relationship, is one of the most emasculating experiences you could possibly imagine. There are few things that make you feel less of a man than when you turn over to try and do with your woman what man and woman do, and Johnny down there refuses to respond. It is so humiliating. And in fact, the first time I experienced this, even though I had recovered in my blood work and I was physiologically fine, the psychological stain stayed with me for a hot minute, bruv. And that was causing performance anxiety of some sort and psychological erectile dysfunction, which I then had to overcome as well. It was a secondary thing. Long story. So I've experienced this before, but not in the way that most men who suffer from it do. The majority of men who suffer from erectile dysfunction do so as a result of either an excess of porn consumption, or an excess of masturbation, or they're just simply unhealthy. Smoking, alcohol, fat, arteries are clogged with all that garbage. As a result of that, it's very difficult for the member to fill properly with blood. And sadly, many of you who suffer from erectile dysfunction, right? I'm looking at you, bro. You know I'm talking to you because you know this applies to you. Your willy is refusing to respond because you are addicted to porn. And sadly, because I deal with these individuals privately, many of them are practicing Muslims. Even women are affected by it. I had one sister reach out to me. She hasn't climaxed in 15 years in her marriage. Not only does she hate her husband, but she hates herself because she knows it's not her husband's fault. She said, I've been addicted to porn for 15 years. Never once have I climaxed in my sexual relationship with my husband. And I know it's because of the porn. Porn raises your arousal levels such that you're only able to become aroused by witnessing and seeing that extreme stuff that you see. So then when you're with your basic Bushra wife or your average Abdullah husband, it's not cutting it anymore because it's not what you saw. That's the beauty of lowering the gaze, by the way. Never mind porn. Just lowering the gaze increases your sexual performance just by virtue of lowering your gaze. But I've got a word of warning for you, Habibi. You're in a marriage. Your wife may well be messaging me, asking me for advice because you are unable to meet her sexual needs because your willy's all floppy. And she's asking me about the man in the van that you're about to find out about in a few moments' time. Sabr, I'm coming. You will see. A lot has happened. I'm worried about the legal side. House is half owned. I've got into some debt and was so unhappy for a long time. Blah, blah, blah. Vomit, vomit, vomit. Get to the point, woman. I even ran away once, but family played me. Proper playing the victim card, sister, by the way. And I know you're watching this. Some of my family and he has driven me insane. Well, that's the sexual frustration. There is someone who is very pleasing on the eye for me. How do I get his number? He drives by in his van daily. Now look, I'm not defending the sister or saying that this is right and that, she is not responsible for her own gaze. I'm not saying that. But let me tell you something. Sometimes, I was in Saudi Arabia working in 2013. And I was talking with the boys. I was the only one married. No, there were two of us who were married in our circle at that time. And, we were starting to feel the sexual frustration. We were away from our wives and we were, talking about, it's kind of difficult being away from our wives and coping mechanisms and so on and so forth. Foods to avoid. Mint tea was like a killer, bruv. Couldn't drink mint tea. I needed a wife straight away after mint tea. Anyways, and one of them made a very interesting point. He said, I don't suffer from this problem as much as you guys, as much as you two. It was me and my friend. I said to him, why is that? He said, because I've never tasted the honey. So although I'm a human being and I obviously have those urges, I don't miss what I've never tasted in the way that you miss what you've tasted. And I was like, okay, that's a fair point. This sister is in a marriage. She actually is in a sexually active relationship. But because the sexual activity is so compromised, it's an even greater form of suffering than if she had never tasted the honey in the first place. That's what's going on here right now. So going back to the man in the van who drives daily. Do you know any good sheikhs? It worries me if I keep wasting my life with him, her husband. What if I don't experience motherhood? Subhanallah. What a legitimate concern. This individual, her husband, his ability or lack thereof to get his Jono up and performing is so compromised that he can't even impregnate his wife. Now look, if you are suffering from erectile dysfunction, a prolonged form of erectile dysfunction, because although I've experienced it, it was always very protracted for a number of weeks. If you are experiencing a long drawn out form of erectile dysfunction and you're in a marriage, you need to get that shit seen to, because if you don't, Habibi, it's legitimate grounds for divorce. If this woman, your wife, is being pushed to the brink of committing haram as she is, and we all know, if you've been watching me long enough, that a woman who is sexually satisfied by her husband, by and large, never mind the exceptions, the 304s on the extremes, by and large, when she is sexually satisfied by her man, she can't see any other man. She only sees him. She has blinders on. She's blind for him and him alone. So if a woman is being pushed to the brink of haram, she has grounds for divorce. Now, I'm not saying she should divorce. I am simply saying it is grounds. I would suggest that the gentleman get himself checked out, some form of therapy, fix himself, and we're going to lead on to the next thing. Let's continue. He just will not get checked. He makes excuses. I don't know what to say to men like you, you know, like I really want to help you. I'm a proper men's advocate. I want to help you men get back into the proper hierarchy and situationship that you are with your women, to be respected in the way that you want to be respected. I flip and starched these stupid collars this morning and they're still dropped. Bruv, irritating my life right now. I want to help you. But you donuts don't want to help yourself. You porn addicts, you masturbation addicts, you weed smokers, you fat, obese people. I once knew an individual close to me who got so fat that it rendered him infertile, such that when he lost weight for 10 years, they didn't conceive a child. The moment he lost weight, his wife fell pregnant. And probably the performance of his member increased as well, although we didn't speak about those things. You don't want to help yourselves. And you don't understand. It's all about money. I just need to get my money up. No, bro, she's going to cheat with the broke guy who's got no peas. But he knows how to perform down there. You want to be the full package. You want to be able to take care of your wife financially. You want to be a woman, a man that she looks up to and respects, a God-fearing, righteous man. And you want to be a man who is able to satisfy her as well. She wants a beast in the bedroom. She wants to be dominated. She wants you to own her body. You know what? Yeah, I had one DM from one girl. Sister Niqabi, no less. Can't even believe I'm sharing this right now. She said to me, I want you to own my body. I get these DMs all the time. I just don't bother sharing them. I only shared these snippets of them once. I get these all the time. Those were her words. Niqabi. Niqabi, I want you to own my body. She wants you to own that body, rude boy. Instead, you're like, oh. You know what, bruv? They've emotionally blackmailed me, saying I'll be gone from them forever if I end things through civil cause. Now, this is where we can quote the general ruling, which is there is no obedience to the creation if it entails disobedience to the creator. And this is the general advice that I gave to the sister afterwards. And by the way, I'm not an Islamic authority, but I will share the little Islamic knowledge that I do have. And that is, if you are being forced to do something that as a result of doing that thing, you will transgress Allah, then you are prohibited from doing that thing. For example, as a general rule, you should obey your parents, right? Okay, yes. But if your parents command you to drink alcohol, should you drink the alcohol? No! You are now commanded to disobey your parents. Do you see? So everything is contextual. Context. And in this instance here, the sister, coming from an ethnic family, is being emotionally blackmailed. That if she does end things, she will be ostracized, banished from the family. And although I do believe that a healthy level of stigma, yes, stigma surrounding divorce is good for society because it encourages families to figure out their problems instead of hitting the divorce button straight away. A healthy level of stigma is positive. This right here, this is, we don't care about your problems. We don't care if you're going to commit haram. All we care about is appearances, is what the Joneses will say, is what the family will say. And you'll understand as we continue in this message what I'm referring to. I just want to experience true love. Notice, by the way, because she mentioned earlier in the message that she does love her husband, but now she adds a caveat, true love. What's the difference, you may say? Well, you can love someone but not be in love with them. In this instance here, I'm sure she appreciates her husband for the good things that he does do. She doesn't talk negatively about anything else about him. But that true love is only earned. You only get it when you own her body. That's how you put the blinders on a woman. The key to a woman's heart is through the private part. You can quote me on that. Mahdi Journey 2023. Not flowers and gifts, and all of those things are nice. They're nice supplements, but it's not the meat, the food, the rice. I just want to experience true love. It doesn't have to be perfect, but surely I deserve someone who is compatible and understands me. Not just eat, sleep, drink, ask for sex time, work, and repeat. So now the sister is saying that he asks for sex. Well, let's continue the message actually, because maybe she'll provide context, because there's a bit of contradiction here. He is obsessed with sex and will do anything for it, but his aubergine has retired way early. I would hazard a guess that our brother here is a consumer of porn. This is not unusual, by the way, in our community, unfortunately. And or he has a masturbation problem. And what is the problem with masturbation is, well, you can apply an unnatural grip to your private part that no woman's orifice is able to reenact for your member, for the pleasure of your member, of Jono. No woman's orifice is able to do that. So now your member is only responding to the gorilla grip, your hand, and no longer to any woman's private part. Or he has a weed problem. Weed is known to cause erectile dysfunction, or he's overweight or whatever. I would hazard a guess, if it's been going on for this long, it's more down the porn / masturbation / weed route, or maybe even a concoction, a cocktail, a combination of the three. I felt very lonely in my marriage for a long time. So she messaged me and she said, it's come to the point where I felt mentally so down some days, I felt suicidal. I want you to just deep that for a moment. This sexual frustration that she experiences has gotten her so down that it's pushing her to the brink of self-deletion. Do you understand this? Are you processing what I'm telling you right now? Do you understand the gravity that this physical need, this natural, normal, no shame in this, physical urge and itch that she needs scratched, as a result of it not being scratched, it's pushing her to the point of suicide? And what panacea, what solution did the family have for her? We'll ostracize you if you do anything about this. My response to her was, look, this requires a sheikh. So I'm acknowledging that wherever she hears from me, she needs to first get this double checked by a legitimate sheikh, and not no regular Mulana Saab from the masjid who's going to say to her sister, go home, whatever, we don't care. No, she's proper Shari'i intervention. This requires a sheikh, but for sure, this is legitimate grounds for divorce. Now, I'm not telling you, sister, because I know you're watching me, to get a divorce. I am simply saying it is grounds for it. What I am telling you is, first, you should present this information to your husband and family with some sort of advice on how to do it. Because if you just present it to them like that, you're going to get kicked out of the house. Some ish is going to go down. Try and find solutions. Maybe this is an easy fix. Maybe your husband can be helped. Maybe it's a simple solution, but maybe not. Maybe the damage is too much, and maybe you should get a divorce, especially that you have never had a child and you're in she mentions in her 30s, you don't have much time left on the clock. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. And that's just to put a bit of urgency in this affair now. If you haven't kick-started the baby-making machine in your teens and 20s as a woman, conceiving in your 30s is considerably more difficult. Is it impossible? No. But it is considerably more difficult. So this affair requires urgency. If you're on the brink of haram, divorce is no longer a distant option, but a serious consideration, especially if he's not doing anything about his problem. And I'm talking to you, Habibi, brother, the one who can relate to this, who is suffering from a similar problem to this. If you don't do something about it, and soon you're going to lose your woman. Do you know, if I just Google sheikhs, preferably not, I've redacted the ethnicity, of the culture she mentioned, because I don't want to cause offense to any particular ethnicity. I'm sick of the cultural advice. Thank you, brother. I feel like I'm not attracted to him before. Of course, there's love, but I can't go on like this. So she's acknowledging once again, there is love, but I'm not in love. I love him for who he is and what he does for me, but you haven't owned her heart. Key to the heart is through the private part. And she continues, how do I contact my crush? How do I get his attention? The man from the van. I respond, listen to me, woman. Don't do dumb shit. She says, question mark, what do you mean? If you do this correctly, Allah will be with you. And if you don't, Allah will ruin you. Step 1, involve a sheikh, start with the local masjid. Step 2, if you are granted khul, and I continue the rest of the message, you must wait for your iddah period to pass before you can consider a new brother, and then you can consider a new brother. And if I'm not mistaken, the iddah period for a khul is 1 menstrual cycle. For talaq, it's 3. For khul, it's 1. But correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Iddah, for those who are watching who don't understand, is the waiting period that a woman must wait before she is allowed to marry again. Now, here's the thing. I've had a number of sisters respond to my story post that I've had on my Instagram recently of different brothers that I've advertised their profiles to solicit requests from sisters who would be interested in marrying them. And a number of you women are currently married. And you're asking me about this next brother. Are you dumb, bruv? Are you stupid? Are you stupid? Yani, I have a genuine question I would just like to know. Are you stupid? You're not stupid? Well, I don't mean you sound stupid to me. It's haram. Do you understand that? I know from your nature, your neurotic nature, that you don't want to just bounce out of a marriage and be left high and dry and you feel scared and vulnerable. I get it. وَمَن يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. Whoever relies upon Allah, Allah will be sufficient for him. وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. And whomsoever fears Allah, Allah will make a way out for him from every difficulty. Fear Allah, sister. No, you cannot contact me about next brother whilst you are still married. You can't even do it whilst you're in your iddah. It must be after your iddah, the waiting period post-divorce, has passed. Check out this video here. This is a reaction to a sister who creates TikToks just about sex. It's quite cringy, I'm not going to lie to you, especially from a sister in hijab. But she is a sister, from what she mentions herself, who was in a marriage where she was not sexually satisfied. And I know it's wholly inappropriate, but whatever. Check it out. You might find it interesting. It might open your eyes to what Muslim women are really like. Guess what? They're not so different to other women, bruv.